Hi guys, and welcome back to HYM. And today we have a slightly different video, but it's one personally I'm really excited to put out. And it's been a while coming about this one, and it's not been the quickest. But as a lot of you know, there's three of us HYM. You know, Jake works with Mercedes and in the Formula E and Formula One simulator driver. You know, I crash motorbikes on a pretty regular one, and
And win races now, mate.
and win races. Yes,
Come
yes.
on.
We plug that as well. But no,
Yeah.
we have fun on motorbikes. And then Nick over here. Well, Nick, give yourself a proper introduction to what you do for a day job.
Bit of an intro. So yeah, like Jake, I do the simulator work, but actually for Aston Martin F1 team, previously Racing Point, previously Force India. So yeah, I've been there I think since middle of 2014 now. So
Wow.
coming on for a long time. Yeah, 7 years,
7 years.
8 years or whatever, 7 years. So yeah, a long time there. And then as of late, I've been racing for BMW as a factory driver there since 2019. So I've been very busy, yeah, doing GT races across the world for them in our BMW M6. So yeah, been a pretty good couple of years. We won the China GT Championship 2019, 2020, won a race in GT Masters and a 6-hour quali race. Was it 2019? No, that was 2019 as well. Sorry, 2020 won the 24-hour Nurburgring at the Nordschleife, of course. So yeah, it's been pretty good so far.
No, it's good stuff. And so you said you've been a BMW factory driver from 2019, and I'm sure everyone inside of racing, but a lot of the fans as well have heard, you know, the term factory driver. But what does it mean to be a factory driver for a team like, for a company with such heritage like BMW?
Yeah, I mean, I speak about it with a couple of the other guys, and you just really have to pinch yourself and just think how lucky you are, because there's 8 to 10 guys in the whole entire world that are employed by BMW and get to go to all these places and race these beautiful race cars around the world. The heritage for me with BMW is obviously fantastic, having been in motorsport for such a long time and had huge wins at all the big races that you want to win at. So yeah, it's really cool when you go and see BMW M and BMW Motorsport, which are now merged in Munich, and see the whole infrastructure with actually the car plant and the M side as well. So yeah, super excited, super happy to be part of that. Obviously, moving forwards too.
Yeah, so today we're going to look at, and so I'm sure you guys can tell from the title of the video, it's your pole lap from the 2021 24 hours of the Nordschleife. Now, we know you're pretty good there, winning the 6-hour, but just want to touch on last year when you completed your first 24-hour race, and it went rather well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so the first year, unfortunately, I didn't get to drive in 2019. I did the 6-hour and was due to do the 24 as well. And unfortunately, the car didn't get back to me in the pits due to a technical problem. So I never got to drive in that one. And then, obviously we came to the Nürburgring 24, which was my next 24-hour race, which was last year in 2020. This time I was with Rowe Racing and Nicky Katzberg and Alexander Sims as teammates, two fantastic drivers. And yeah, we managed to pull off the race win there. We started from 5th position and just kept our noses clean. It was a lengthy red flag period during the night, so we actually got a bit of sleep, which was quite nice for a 24-hour race. But the main thing was we crossed the line first when it counts.
Exactly. So, you know, that amazing achievement. And then to back it up this year with the pole lap, which we're going to go through now. So let's get to it. But before we start, me and you discussed how we should go through this lap. And a couple of ideas floated about. But I said, look, mate, I want to see it for the first time with you. So we're going to go through it like that. Nick's going to tell me when to stop it. I'm going to stop it when I have some questions. But we're going to stop it pretty early on because there's a pretty dramatic moment to begin with. So, right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
So, yeah, this is obviously coming into turn 1. Late on the brakes on the inside to avoid the rubber. As you can hear, there was a bit of a locking rears moment. I had a big old slide into turn 1 and actually lost, I think it was 7/10 compared to my lap before in turn 1. So, not the ideal start to this lap, actually.
amazing how quiet the car goes when you lose it, isn't it?
Yeah, you always think, oh no, and try and get it back, obviously by bleeding off the brakes. So now we're going down to the Dunlop hairpin on the GP circuit still. What the camera doesn't really show is how wet it was. I think unless you were actually at the circuit or in the car, you couldn't quite appreciate it. But you see the rivers across here, there, and everywhere where the car is going very, very light. And obviously you're aquaplaning, so it's pretty difficult to keep on the circuit.
Yeah, but you can see how wet it was there going up the hill. It's just got a complete shine to the surface. But I've noticed you're still running a lot of curves, even in the wet.
Yeah, so you can do as long as you get the steering straight. And obviously be very careful with your throttle application. I did have a moment over that curve, but I knew it would be faster to straight line the curve just a bit off throttle than to keep, to actually make the whole way around. Through here was really, really wet. This little kink is usually easy flat, and it was a little lift just because of standing water. But now we're coming up to the really exciting part, which is honestly the Nordschleife section itself, which is the largest section of the circuit. There's no room for error, and if you do make a mistake, then you're only going one way, and unfortunately that's the wall.
So I know as soon as we go on to the old part of the circuit now, the rear end immediately went light on you.
Yeah, exactly right. So actually there for me, it was a big kick of wheel spin and aquaplaning. So it was super exciting the whole way through, and this section, Hatzenbach, was very, very wet. And it's probably the slippiest place on the circuit, actually. So you don't want to make a mistake really early on in the lap, just because you will end up in the wall in this section.
Yeah, the car has gone super nervous now, and we said earlier about we couldn't see how wet it was on the camera. Now you can.
Now you can, exactly right. And actually in the last two sectors, as we'll see in about 6 minutes time when we get there, you'll really see how wet it was. So now this is coming up to Flugplatz. This is usually flat out in the M6 in the dry, but very, very slippy. It was only fourth gear. And very patient, short shifting from fourth to fifth. As you see, this is all standing water. You just see the train tracks of the car in front. And what I'm trying to do there is get my wheels in there so I can actually keep it flat out and avoid the aquaplaning. Now we're coming up to Schwedenkreuz, which is usually flat in sixth. But this time I think I went down to fourth. It was fifth or fourth. And just trying to baby it round with as high minimum speeds as I could.
Okay, I'm just like, oh my god, he's going to crash. He's going to crash.
Here, well, that's what I thought for 3 laps as well. Down here was, if you listen to the engine. So the whole way down there, which is Fuchsola, it was aquaplaning central. So very, very difficult to actually keep flat out. It was just about trying to keep as smooth as possible on the throttle and not make any big movements on the steering wheel. Now a bit of a technical section, first gear, short shifting to second. We're coming up to, I think, the Manthey Porsche, which had an issue, either a crash or a failure on the lap, so I had to lift earlier than I usually would want to. I think I could have been able to keep that flat and gain a bit more time there. But anyway, it didn't harm me too much. Yeah, big old slide with obviously no runoff there. I knew this lap would be the lap because you already have a reference of the lap before of where the grip was, whereas the first lap is completely blind. You're just guessing. So now you go into this little left-right. I don't actually know all the corners. For someone that's driven there a fair bit, I don't know them all. But now we get to hit and miss hit, which is obviously the name because you usually try and hit the first apex, miss the second, hit the third, and we go to the slowest corner in the circuit, which is called Versailles, I think. Again, short shifting first to second.
First gear is really short, isn't it?
Really short, really short. And over there was almost like ice because it was just really, really full of aquaplaning. Now up X Muller, which is a very banked uphill right-hander, trying to get a good exit down to Niki Lauda kink or Niki Lauda left. Where it wasn't quite flat, and I have a little moment through the apex here. You'll see the car move as I lift. There, and then braking to the right hand side, just as that's where the grip is, and trying to get to throttle as early as possible now. But again, this is usually super easy flat, but because of the aquaplaning, you are having to baby all the inputs the whole way up there. I had to lift here a little bit, and then again through the faster left-hand kick, I had to lift a little bit here. But if you can see the water, it wasn't wasn't dry out there, and it was about trying to pick your spots and really focus on where the car had been tracking beforehand.
Yeah. As the speed blows me away here, the one thing that I can pick up on is how even when the car starts to snap and to drift, it's quite relaxed, isn't it? It doesn't really snap on you.
No, exactly. And that's, I think, partly to do with the M6 characteristics. So we actually have a really long wheelbase, which helps compared to, say, the Audi or the Porsches, where it becomes a more snappy tendency. So I would say in this condition, not always, but sometimes when the car's working well, we can have a small advantage in the really, really monsoon conditions. If we could rewind it 2 or 3 seconds, you'll see into this kink, I actually lost the rear as I touched the brakes. So this kink, you'll hear the engine go light and there's no runoff. And this was a little poo in the pants moment there.
So here we go then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just before the camera went a bit funny, we saw it. But,
exactly right.
Yeah. As you said, poo in the pants moment.
Exactly. Yeah, which is, there's always those around here. And I remember John Edwards, one of my teammates from this year, saying to me, "You're not having a couple of those a lap, you're just not going fast enough." So now into carousel. Obviously, you're trying to. It's really difficult because you want to carry speed, but in the wet, it's very easy to pop out and completely ruin your lap time.
Yeah.
Back up the hill. The hill now coming actually to the second half of the Nordschleife. Again, super wet, but having to have full commitment just because everyone that's doing the top quali or everyone that's driving full stop is super fast. So you have to be fully on the limit. Picking my braking points and again, still trying to avoid the wet parts as much as I can because you're having constant snaps just because of the amount of water.
Committed on the curves.
Yeah, so you have to just take everything you can, really, and just try and open up the circuit as much as possible because you're going to end up out there anyway when it's wet. Now we come into Brunchen, where it's this is the famous corner that if you make a mistake and put it in the wall, you'll be on YouTube in no time. And then one of the slippiest corners on the circuit here, this right-hander. I can't remember if this is ice curve or the right-hander after. But it's super easy to make a mistake here, and the TC is always really, really high in the
You can just see how patient you're having to be. Can you just explain? Exactly. Can you just explain to people like why you're maybe a meter, 2 meters from the inside and the apex of the track at some points in the way?
Exactly. So firstly, this corner here, right now, we renamed Yelloly 1 because I actually crashed there at the 6-hour race. The boys renamed it Yelloly 1. But yeah, the reason why I'm offline is trying to get off the rubber to carry more speed. In this part of the lap, you can see now the water on the windscreen as well. And it really started to rain. Even in 5th gear, your wheel spinning because of aquaplane. Down there, and it was very, very sketchy. So I knew I would be losing time, but I just had to try and get it to the end of the lap as best as possible. So you saw an entry oversteer there, just again more aquaplaning than I think I've ever had in a race car. Carousel 2, and coming up now to the last 2 corners onto the famous Dottinger Höhe, which leads you back like a kilometre or so to the main circuit. On the lap previous through this right-hander here, I had a massive moment, so I kept it slightly neater, again around the outside to make sure I got the exit, because obviously you want to carry as much speed as possible. And then it was, at this point, my engineer said it's looking good, and I was, so I sort of said, yep, thanks, I don't know what that means, but I knew we were on for a good time. Here, it was flat the whole way until the little kink where you'll see me lift and actually have a wobble again, but the amount of water we were trying to displace from the tyre, we were maybe 15, 16 kilometers an hour slower than usual down this straight just because of the water, which is nuts. So I have a little lift here just to make sure I don't put it in the barriers. And then you have the compression, and up the top you'll see the car move, and I hit a puddle. So just here, yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's a very slippy braking zone. You'll hear the engine go light there. And then it's about making the last chicane as neat as possible with a really, really good exit just to finish the lap. And you'll hear maybe there, I had an issue second to third because of wheel spin. It didn't actually go in first time. And then making sure your shifts are as good as possible. Cross the line. And that was the end of the second lap. And I could actually breathe a slight sigh of relief. Yeah, just this is the first time I've been able to breathe properly for maybe 30 minutes or so, with the out lap and the 2 laps being about 10 minutes. So at this point, obviously, I know I was already P2 after the first lap, which was great. I'm changing engine maps for the in lap, and just having a relax, as you'll see, just trying to get the breath back, and get the adrenaline down. Which was, obviously I knew it was a good lap because it was faster than the first lap. I just didn't know how good
it was.
How good it was. So you have a bit of information from the engineers, of course. You're doing your normal in-lap procedures. Now this is actually going down to the Dunlop hairpin, and I think it's on their exit that I find out, and you'll see by my reaction that I was quite happy with the result, of course. Getting pole position here, there's not many people that get the chance, number one, to do the quali shooter, and to be able to put it on pole was very special. So you should see me shake my head, I think. Yeah. And then
there we go, pole position.
Actually, you hear me shout. Yeah, you hear me shout. Yes. If you turn up the video for the viewers at home, and you just listen to the video itself, you hear me shout. So yeah, super proud moment for myself, team, and obviously BMW at that point. And yeah, it was the ideal way to start our campaign of trying to do a back-to-back.
I think it's, that's the first time I've seen everyone as well, and I'm like, well, the circuit. Every time I see the circuit, it blows me away. It's like, Jesus, that's a big boy's toy, as I would call it. And it was, but also like just the commitment in the wet. Like on a motorbike, it's a very different thing in the wet. You have to really watch your lean angles, brake pressure, everything's on a knife edge. But the way you could carry the speed in that car, and the car just didn't, and it just took it. It was quite special. And also that this was, this is actually the first time, I think, all weekend or for all year maybe, that I'd driven in the wet. So it was same for everyone, but it just absolutely monsooned it down just before top quali. And I knew I was in. I knew I'm British, obviously, so I'm good in the wet because it's always bloody raining, apart from the last 4 days here. But 5/10 that. So
exactly. So then, obviously I went for it. I went downstairs before the quali and watched Nicky Catsburg's lap from the wet. I think a couple of years previous, just to get a basic idea of where the puddles could or couldn't be, and then got in the car and just went for it. The point that I knew that we were competitive, to be honest, was lap 1, because you set off in intervals. So you set off in 10-second intervals, and I overtook 2 cars on the first lap. And then I knew, okay, well, if I've caught guys 20 seconds already and I'm not really going for it yet, then we must have a good piece of machinery underneath us. And sure enough, we did.
When you're in the wet, it's the same for me. You immediately know if the machine's working.
Exactly right.
You go around the first corner and you're like, oh yeah, no, we're all good.
Exactly right.
I had a terrible one. I high-sided on the outlap at Magny Court. That was not a proud moment for me in the wet.
In the wet.
And that point, I knew I didn't have the setup in place. But no, you
maybe not optimal.
you certainly did that lap. I just, once you've done that lap, you said you sat there in the car after, and you just, we can see you physically go, oh,
yeah.
The stress of wet driving is massive because you're on a knife edge. But you've been doing that for half an hour, flat out. What's going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, I mean, as I crossed the line, it's more relief that, number one, you've survived the Nordschleife in the wet, because the place is nuts in the dry, let alone the wet. And obviously you are against the world's best GT drivers, so like I said, I knew I'd done a good lap, and I knew it would most likely be top 5. I qualified 5th there last year, so I thought, we can win from within the top 5, top 10 even. But yeah, then obviously when I heard that we were pole and by a good margin as well, super, just you can't explain the feeling.
No.
It's the one race I always wanted to win for sure, and I managed to win it, or we managed to win it last year. But to get that one lap
And
quali in, when it's just you and the car, you don't have any traffic particularly, and you have to go 10 tenths to put it on pole. It's very special when it all goes to plan.
I think qualifying for me, the race is the race, and we manage races, and we have to, you ride within a certain margin. But quali is all about, balls to the wall. This is it. And but doing that for half an hour.
Yeah. Also, you have the pressures of, obviously you don't want to crash the car in quali, but you want to put it on pole. But you don't want to let your teammates down, or the team, or the manufacturer. So you have all these little things that are, I wouldn't say going through my mind, but subconsciously they're there, because it's a high pressure moment. But that's what the good guys live for, and I really, really enjoy those moments. So it was nice to have been chosen to do it, to obviously have the P1, and then very nice to relax afterwards. We all went out, had a nice chill, and just spent the evening together, had some nice food, and just took it, and so it was really cool.
So Nick, well, I'm blown away by that. I hadn't seen it before, and to me that was stunning. I think the team put a damn good car under you, and it's pretty much all on them, but you did a stunning job with that one, and I think we all want to see some more GT content on this channel and off of you. So we're going to be getting some more of that, but congratulations on that one.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. And we will be getting some more videos to the channel. Also, I've got some cool old school F1 stuff, which I'm sure we'll have to bring on the channel as well. That was a very special moment for me, driving the old school cars, as I love them. And there'll be plenty more from the GT scene, coming up, both behind the scenes and on track action, of course.
That's what we like to hear. Nick, again, congratulations. Awesome lap. And everybody else, we'll see you in a podcast or a video very soon. But make sure you leave a like, a comment of what you want to see on the channel more of. And we'll see you guys soon. Cheers, everyone.
See you guys.